I really wished I could be an actress. I still didn't have enough faith in myself to act on the spur of the moment like I want to. I'm going to cry now. The investigation into Richard Chamberlain's home shows hidden facts that go against how the popular TV star is seen by most people. In the 1960s, millions of people loved him as the kind Dr. Kildare. Tens of millions of people watched his part in the Thornbirds remake. But there was a different world inside his mansion. The actor's personal life stayed a secret until he died at age 99. Then it came out that police were said to have looked into his home. They were shocked by what they found in the King of TV miniseries' home. Let's find out together. Chamberlain's public picture and his private life. The Hollywood golden boy, Richard Chamberlain, put up a complicated front that kept everyone away for decades. A handsome, straight hero persona covered up a man who was always afraid of being found out. Later, the investigation into the Richard Chamberlain home would find physical proof of this split existence that shaped his life. He got good at what he called a cat-and-mouse game with the press. When asked about personal things, he would say things like, "Getting married would be great, but I'm really busy right now." To keep up appearances, studio execs helped him manage his public image and made him go with beautiful actresses to premieres and other events. Richard's split between his public and private life caused him a lot of inner turmoil. He told NBC, "I hated myself very much and feared this part of myself very much, and I had to hide it." His early years made him hate himself. He told me that as I grew up, it was taboo to be gay, a sissy, or anything else like that. What if Richard Chamberlain's house had walls that could talk? Would they whisper stories about the golden age of Hollywood, or would they say worse things? This isn't just any home for wealthy people. It's a spot with a lot of history, mystery, and strange stories. Was it just the king of miniseries' quiet place to get away? Or did this place see things that were never meant to be seen? Stay with me, because as we dig deeper into this case, we find information that makes me wonder more than it answers. You'll want to see what we found, I promise, at the end. He lived his truth with his partner of 30 years, actor and director Martin Rabbit, when no one was around. One of Hollywood's worst-kept secrets among people who work in the business was their friendship. Later, Chamberlain said that almost everyone in the business knew he was gay. He kept up the act anyway because he thought his days as a romantic star were over. If people knew about it, after living two lives, I was very sad. It took me 68 years to figure out that I was wrong about myself, he told her after finally coming out. I wasn't bad at all. In addition to this, Chamberlain had scars from his childhood with a drunken father. Because of these events, he spent years in therapy and doing other things that helped him figure out who he was. The study into the mansion showed how his home reflected the different parts of his life. His public appearances were carefully planned, but his private home was both a safe haven and a prison, a physical representation of his inner struggles. When investigators looked into Richard Chamberlain's house, they found that it was built with privacy in mind above all else. The house had high-tech security systems and a clever layout that kept people from seeing what was going on outside. It was planned for the land to be in Hawaii, away from the attention of Hollywood. Chamberlain once said of his private way of life, "I got used to being careful and circumspect." Because he was careful, his living space became a place where he could be himself without fear. Being free and out of the closet would have made me happy, but there were other things that made me happy. I worked as an actor, and I thought that was stupid. That was the most important thing, he said. When Chamberlain released his autobiography, Shattered Love, in 2003, at age 69, things changed in a big way. He said the realization made him feel high, and that it freed him from the jail he had built for himself. The people welcomed him with open arms. Everyone has been so helpful. People who didn't know me gave me thumbs up, wished me well, and told me, "Good for you." When Chamberlain's fortune was looked into after his death at age 90, signs of this freedom were found. His Hawaii home went from being a hideout to a real house where he paints and makes mobiles for fun. "I like to write haikus and hang out with close friends a lot." Following the money trail through Chamberlain's estate, this change matched his own journey from shame to self-acceptance. Get this then. It turned out that Richard Chamberlain's money problems were a lot worse than anyone thought. In other words, it looked pretty simple at first. A Hollywood legend who made millions of dollars over many years, live a fancy life. Things got strange when a group of forensic accountants began to peel back the layers. With their fancy data analysis tools and possibly a lot of coffee, the forensic team began to see patterns that didn't make sense. There were cash withdrawals that didn't match up with normal family costs, and large transfers that happened at times that didn't seem right, and bets that looked like they were an attempt to hide money. Also, let's not talk about assets that were either overpaid, undervalued, or didn't make sense. Chamberlain's financial past was a lot like a puzzle where half of the pieces didn't fit or were missing. It was a big red flag when he made that huge real estate deal near the end of his life. He put his house up for sale for $19 million at first. That's pretty normal for Hollywood royalty, right? But here's the catch. In 2011, he sold it for $13,800,000. That is a huge drop in price. Okay, so real estate prices change all the time, but losing over $5 million, it's not just bad luck. That makes me want to ask more questions. And that is exactly what the detectives did. It turns out that the house sale wasn't just a sale. It was a small part of a much bigger and messier money trail that went straight to foreign banks, offshore accounts, and business deals that looked like they could be tax havens. Folks in the public eye like to keep their cash out of the hands of the government. But Chamberlain's position wasn't like that of a normal Hollywood star who wants to save money on taxes. This was the next step. Actually, real papers were found in his house that talked about banking deals that offered things like no taxes and protecting assets. That sounds nice, right? The police quickly figured out that it meant we know how to make money disappear. And Chamberlain certainly, he was interested in that kind of help. It gets more interesting. Around the same time that Chamberlain's money was moving back and forth between banks in different countries, he was said to have been looking into new ways to live and become a citizen. He wasn't just trying to move money, that's for sure. He wasn't sure how to move. He seemed to be getting ready for something. A big change in money, an easy way to stay out of sight. No matter what it was, it made the case more complicated. But what's the real catch? The way he lived didn't always match up with how much money he was making. We're talking about a man who has worked for 60 years, had huge success on TV, and bought great properties. Talks did happen though. There were rumors going around that he had other ways to make money that didn't show up on his tax reports. Of course, famous people make money in many ways, such as through endorsements, royalties, and side companies. But when forensic accountants looked at his files, they saw that something wasn't right. His credit card bills, bank records, and pay statements, their lives were very different. A still stranger turn. That house, which he sold for a lot less than it was worth, had some strange building features. There were security steps that didn't make sense for someone who just wanted to be left alone. The house almost looked like it was made for something else, something more secret. And the money gaps showed up when investigators started putting everything together. With all the strange spending and foreign accounts, they began to wonder if these strange changes to Chamberlain's home had anything to do with the financial secrets he was trying to hide. What did Chamberlain do during his last years? Was he trying to get away or hide money? Or was it all just a very complicated and badly managed plan to keep his money safe? No matter what the truth is, one thing is certain. His money wasn't nearly as easy as his Hollywood image made it look. Some homes in Hollywood are beautiful, some are strange. There are also ones that make you think, what's going on here? One of those places is Richard Chamberlain's house. Chamberlain was a famous actor with a well-kept public image, but his home has a very different story to tell. Was it a place to get away from fame? Or did something else happen? The more we look, the stranger things we find, and I promise you, you won't believe what's behind one door. This could be one of the most shocking home checks on a star you've ever seen, so stay tuned. Looking into the mansion of Richard Chamberlain, the police had been looking at Richard Chamberlain's house for a long time. They couldn't do anything while he was living, though. They could only search the places he gave them permission to, which was like sneaking into the kitchen at midnight for a snack. But everything changed when he died. They had free rein to look in every dusty corner and locked box. It was like the floodgates opened. Also, guess what? They found the good stuff then. There was proof right in front of them for decades that they couldn't see until now. It looks a lot like magic, doesn't it? You check one spot and find nothing there, but as soon as you look again, the whole picture changes. The cops were pretty much following Chamberlain's rules before he died. They had to follow the rules he set, which meant they could only search the places he let them. One hand was tied behind the backs of the investigators while they worked. They may have thought there was more to find, but they could only see the most basic information until they had a good reason to ask for a warrant for a deeper check. Things were very different after he died. Police could finally see what had been hidden for so long once the land was fully open to the public. When they did, it was like opening a treasure box. But instead of golden jewels, they found a locked footlocker full of old newspaper clippings and papers that changed the whole case. Doesn't it seem crazy to think about how one locked box can make everything different? It feels a lot like a mystery book, but it's real life. It's not even a one-time thing. From what we know about the past, investigations have always changed in this way. Now, finding the papers and news clippings wasn't the only thing that changed the course of this probe. That was really only the beginning. When investigators found personal emails and private records linking Chamberlain to things no one had thought before, that's when things really changed. That part of the movie where the detective finally finds the last piece of the puzzle and everything makes sense? That's exactly what took place. Some detectives even said that when they saw the proof, it was like their minds went off like a set of alarms. They were no longer just looking at a bunch of papers without any order. They had never thought of these connections between Chamberlain and other things. Mansions in Hollywood are made to please. Is it Richard Chamberlain's? It was made to make people wonder. From the outside, it looked like any other fancy, private, and expensive celebrity house.